Just want to make sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Constable Gary Gomez. As Ken had mentioned, I'm the 42 Division Crime Prevention Officer, and I've been to your location quite a few times. Obviously, before the situation we're in now, where we're into a virtual mode, but I've been there. Really enjoyed my sessions with the group that I've spoken with. I've done quite a few seminars and presentations there. I've been there when people were celebrating birthday parties, and I actually had some cake, and it was really wonderful. So I'm sure the people that, if you're here that were at the parties that I was at, you remember me. But so I'm very pleased to speak with you, to talk about just some safety issues. As I say, I'm a crime prevention officer, and I talk a lot about safety, different types of safety. So today I'm going to just highlight a few different things. I don't want to spend a lot of time doing a presentation. I think I'd like to spend more time engaging with you. If you have questions, maybe, sometimes somebody might ask a question and then it'll spark somebody else to remember something and ask a question. And that's how we get a lot of good information flowing. So, but I'm going to talk a little bit about seniors and about some of the things that seniors face that might be different than people that are a younger clientele or not seniors. So just to give you a little bit of statistical information, seniors make up the fastest growing age group. I mean, we're really into the era of the seniors as far as I'm concerned. This trend is expected to continue for the next several decades, due mainly to a decreased fertility rate, an increase in life expectancy. We have a very good medical community. Our medical system is amazing. Our 911 system, ambulance, the doctors. So a lot of people are living longer. So the effects of the baby boom. In 2003, an estimated 4.6 million Canadians were 65 years of age or older, a number that is expected to double in the next 25 years. So by 2041, which is only 21 years from now, about 1 in 4 Canadians is expected to be 65 and over. So we have a really senior population, and it's growing quite rapidly. So we really need to look after our seniors. We have to look after, and we're all getting there. I'm certainly very, very close to my senior years, and absolutely, we want to make sure that things are going to be well done and well taken care of. So to talk about a few things, I want to talk about just the type of things that seniors can be susceptible to. These criminals, they're not. Nobody ever said they were the smartest people in the world. Their concept is that when they think of a senior, they think of someone who's been around for a long time. And the way they think of it is that if a person's been working and saving money since they were, say, 20 years old, and they are now in their 80s or in their 90s, how much time and how much money have they saved in all those years? And they think that seniors are all millionaires. They think that they're all rich. They think, absolutely, some seniors may very well be millionaires, could have invested well, could have saved well, but I think the general population of seniors are not. They just kind of are getting through. They're getting by. The criminals think that seniors have a lot of money to give away and to be scammed away with. So that's their thinking. If I ask and I usually, when I do this, I ask everybody, okay, raise your hand if you're a senior, or not if you're a senior, but if you're a millionaire senior. And I usually, if it's a lady, I'll say, well, would you like to adopt me or marry me? Because, everybody's looking for money, right? So it's a bit of a joke, but in other words, the criminals really think that you seniors have a lot of money to give away, and it's definitely not true. In some cases, yeah, absolutely, some people have a lot of money, but generally, no. You can't afford to give anybody money that you don't want to give, right? And that's what they try to do. They try to take that money from you, not in a violent way. Some criminals, they want to do robberies, they want to do certain things. When it comes to seniors, it's usually they're being defrauded, they're being tricked, and that's the problem. And sometimes you have to understand what people are doing so we can prevent ourselves from being tricked by them. We have to understand these criminals are very good at what they do. That's their job, to trick people, to fool people, to make up stories, to seem very friendly, to seem very personable, very community oriented. Meanwhile, all they want to do is they want to steal your money. So it does happen. We need to kind of understand how it does. So seniors are contacted in a certain few ways: by the phone, by mail, by the regular post mail, the internet, in person. Okay, so those are the ways that people will be engaged. On the phone, we've all had those phone calls. That, people want to ask you things, and they want you to sign up for things, and they want to tell you that your computer's not working. They'd like to remotely go into your computer and fix the problem. They'd like you to join something. They'd like you to subscribe to something. All those kind of things that happen on the phone, generally called telemarketing, but because telemarketing now has turned into almost like a fraudulent situation in most cases, people are very afraid of telemarketing. So telemarketing is a legitimate business. It's called marketing via the telephone. But because there's so many scammers that are involved now, it makes the legitimate people seem, we don't know. We can't tell what's real and what's fake. By the mail, we're still getting some mail, but not a lot of mail anymore. It's mostly on the internet. So I implore people, if you are on the internet, please understand what you're doing out there. Because if you happen to be not very savvy with the computer and you end up doing a few wrong things, you could cause yourself a lot of trouble. So if you are on a computer, if you're using a computer, take a computer course, get someone to help you, get someone to show you all the do's and don'ts of computers. We can talk a little bit about that. But I think if you're using the computer, it's really up to you. It's your responsibility to understand how it works and what are the things that could harm you when you're on your computer. In person, sometimes if you're walking down in a mall, or if you're walking down the street, sometimes you might pass someone that has a table. We're doing a survey, we're selling, things like that. What they want to do is they want to engage you and get you personal information. Okay, that's a lot of ways how they can do that. They can ask you to fill out a document that they want to, you might win a car. So, give us your name, your birthday, all these things. You don't want to do any of that kind of thing. They're asking for your social insurance number. You don't want to do anything. Okay, so you must be very, very stingy with your personal information. So that's how they get to us. That's how they engage with us. And most of the times when they engage with us, it's very friendly, okay? It's a very positive engagement, okay? These people, their job is to befriend you, to be your friend, to gain your trust. And once they gain your trust, then they're into a whole new wave of taking advantage of you. So that's something we have to understand. When somebody is trying to befriend you, you have to think about it. Why do they want to befriend me? Do they just befriend me because I'm a nice person, because I'm a good friend, or is it because they want something from me? Unfortunately, that's how we have to think. It's a sad state that we have to be like that, but unfortunately, that's what happens. So they talk about why are older people targeted. I mean, there's a reason, because older people they're very trusting. They're very loving people. They grew up in a time when everybody was good. If you look at someone that's in their 80s, that's 80 years old, when they were 5 years old, when they started learning how to, trust people and talk to people and understand, they had manners. They said hello to everybody. 75 years ago, that's when time was better. If anybody out there can think of what life was like 75 years ago, it was very different than the way it is today. So people that grew up in that time have grown up to be very trusting, have grown up to think that people are generally good people. So it's very hard for them to think that everybody I talk to could be a potential scammer, could be a potential fraud artist. But that's what happens. Many seniors are reluctant to report things to the police. if they get scammed, if someone, tricks them for their money, they don't want to tell anybody. The last person, or the last people they want to know about that is their children, their adult children, because they're very afraid that their adult children will take away their autonomy, take away one of the last things that they have power over, which is their own finances. Once an adult child finds out that their parent has been scammed or has lost money through being tricked, they will want to now control mom and dad's money. And we don't want that. As a senior, you don't want that. So those are some of the reasons why they do not report things. Just to let you know that if you as a senior report to the police that you've been tricked, you've been scammed, you've been defrauded, that is personal information between you and the police. Okay? Your children, your family, your co-workers, your co-residents will never know from the police. The police aren't going to tell anybody. That's confidential. Now, if it's a situation where the person that's reporting this crime is very vulnerable and ends up out there doing all kinds of things that are likely to cause them harm, then we will, out of concern for that person, we will pass information on that they need to be looked after, that they need to be protected. In that situation, we will try to engage with a family member to make sure that the person gets some help. But other than that, we're not divulging any information about whatever crime happened to you, to your family. So if you report something to the police, you can feel feel confident knowing that your kids won't find out from us. We will not pass that information on. So that's something that we feel very strongly about. Excuse me. So they are reluctant. They want independence. The seniors want to be independent. So they don't want to report things to people. They don't want people to know that they've been defrauded, that they've been tricked, because they think people will think less of them, will think that they're not capable of handling their finances, things like that. And they want that. So they don't tell anybody. The problem is when you don't tell anybody that you've been tricked, then it allows the tricksters to go on to other people and continue. Whereas if you pass information on to your friends that someone tricked me, and because these tricksters, they are looking to trick other people. So the minute they trick you, they want to trick people like you, seniors that you live with, people that you socialize with. So if you tell those people that you've been tricked and watch out for this person, then that person is less likely to be able to continue tricking. So that's why it's important that we pass the information on. I know sometimes you feel very self-conscious to admit the fact that you've been tricked, but listen, police officers, judges, lawyers, doctors get tricked because the tricksters are very good at what they do. So it has nothing to do with any brain power with being tricked. Sometimes being tricked is just the fact that you trust somebody, they've earned your trust, right? They've gained your trust, and now they've tricked you. That's why we have multi millions of dollars being scammed out of people, right? So you can't tell me that all those people are not smart. They are smart. It's just that the tricksters are very good at what they do. So those are some of the reasons why we have scams going on. I want to talk a little bit about the COVID-19 situation. A very devastating situation. I implore everybody that you must be careful. You must be very, try to be very conscious of all the safety procedures and precautions that are in place for you. But there are many criminals that are out there that are taking advantage of the situation, as criminals do. They find an area where they can, they can take advantage of vulnerable people, and they will do that. So now, with all the things that are happening with COVID, there's a lot of talk about a new vaccine. There's a talk about medications that could be possible cures. All these things, people are taking advantage. They're actually putting ads online saying that there's a cure out there. Just send us this, send us some money if you'd like to buy some pills. Talking about protective equipment. There's fraudulent equipment, there's fake equipment, there's substandard equipment, things like that. Investments. They want you to invest in a company that's developing a vaccine. So if you jump on board right now for a little bit of money, when that vaccine hits and the world has to buy the vaccine, that company is gonna, you know, immediately become a multi-billion-dollar company, and you will be at the beginning of that investment, and you will make lots of money. People think about this, and it sounds very plausible, absolutely, but it's not. All right, so you have to think about this. People, if somebody is trying to get you to invest in anything to do with COVID-19, please really think about it, because I think it will be a mistake to get involved in that. So there's, as I said, there's a lot of scams going on. There's a lot of tricks. You know, we have to, as individuals, think about what people are offering, and does it sound too good to be true? And if it does, then likely it is too good to be true. You have to be very careful about that. So those are some of the things that we're hearing about from the RCMP, from the fraud, the anti-fraud agency, where people are calling and reporting, you know, being scammed. Now we still have the regular scams, the CRA. There's a lot of scams about the CERB. There's the fund that the government is giving people. There's a lot of fraudulent cases going on with that. Ways of, you know, people are telling you you can get money by sending this to us, or signing on, clicking on to this. They want to get you information. There's all kinds of ways. People, you know, there's actually a fake website out there that's saying that, you know, if you want to get your test results, if you've done a COVID test, sign in here, put in your information, your social insurance number, your health card number, your name, your birth date, and we'll send you the information. That's a phishing scam. The only website is the official Health Canada website. The health, you know, that is the official one. Anything else is fraudulent, and they're finding all kinds of ways to get your money, to get information to you. So that's something that we really need to be careful about. Okay, I'm just looking at the time, trying to be cognizant of the time. I'm not gonna talk about too many more things here. I'm not sure who in the room, when I say room, who out there is living in a residential setting, institutional residential setting, or who are living at home, because I want to talk a little bit about you know, home safety, as far as keeping your doors and windows safe, things like that. When you're living in an apartment setting, apartment building setting, or a hospital room setting, or a residence setting, it's different than living in a home, in a detached home or in a semi-detached home. But some places aren't locked. Like if you're living in a long-term facility, the doors are not able to be locked. So that is important, that you do not keep any valuable property in your room, because at any point someone could walk into your room and take your belongings. So I always encourage people, only the basics, like just the things that the residence gives you. If you have any personal things, maybe try to find a way you can lock those things up. But you don't want leaving things in your drawer, because someone can easily access your room when you're not there, when you're sleeping, or when you're you know, away from your room. So those are things. But if you're living in an apartment building, it's very important that people observe, make observations. Okay, do not ever open that front door to strangers. Okay, if a stranger wants to come into your building, your apartment building, they have a legitimate way of getting in there. First of all, if they're visiting somebody, they will buzz or call that person. It's that person's responsibility to open the door for them. If that person is not there, then there's no need for the visitor to be entering the building. If you happen to be in the lobby of your building and somebody knocks on the window, the glass door, and says, "Can you open the door, please?" You just simply say, "I'm sorry, I cannot open the door. There are cameras there watching, and if they see me open the door, I could get myself in some trouble." That's the best way to do it. I always talk to these management companies about getting a sign to put on the front, like we're in the lobby, facing the person visiting. We do not open the door to strangers, and that way the residents in the building don't even have to engage with that person, because they know not to ask a resident to open the door. So if they have a legitimate reason to be in that building, they will have a legitimate way to get in by buzzing, right? By calling the superintendent. If someone is working there, they should have a fob. If they're, if it's a staff member, they have a fob to get in. There's no need for anybody to be knocking on the window, asking a resident to open the door for them. I know sometimes it can be quite intimidating if somebody's asking you, and the worst thing that can ever happen is when you do the right thing and say to the person, I'm sorry, I can't open the door, for whatever reason, there's cameras, we're not allowed to, and as you're walking away, somebody else comes out and opens the door to leave, and the person comes in. Or someone comes up and opens the door for them after you've just told them that you're not allowed to. And then now this person is looking at you like, why didn't you open the door for me? So I implore everybody in your building to try to connect and be cohesive, be together on the fact that do not open the door to strangers. If you have to leave the building and there's somebody waiting there, try to find another exit. You don't want to walk the door, open the door, and that person will come in, because I would never suggest that you stop anybody from trying to come in the building. I would suggest that you pass information on to the management or somebody kind of, snuck into the building and now they're in the building. So those are kind of some of the things that when it comes to living in an apartment or a condo or a multi-family residence, those are some of the things that you can do. When you're in a house, again, be careful about what surrounds the house. Okay, make sure the front area of the house is not being hidden by trees and bushes, signs or anything like that, because you want people to be able to see the front window and the front door in case somebody is trying to do anything to get into the house. A passerby or a neighbor could see. I've been to houses where people have had 5-6 windows at the front of the house, and you couldn't see any of the windows because they were concealed with shrubbery, with bushes, with trees. That's not a good idea. Another thing is, if you're going to be away from your home, you want to make sure that your mail is looked after. You want to make sure that any kind of magazines, make sure that it doesn't look like there's nobody home. I call it signs of occupation. You want to make sure that anybody that walks by your house does not think that the house is empty, because the lights are off and there's all kinds of mail, there's all kinds of magazines, newspapers all over the front, meaning that nobody's picked this mail up in 2 weeks. So talk to your neighbors, talk to your relatives, have somebody park their car in your driveway, make it look like somebody's home. I always suggest getting timers. Put something on a timer, maybe a lamp on a timer. Put something on a timer upstairs. So at night, lights go on at 8 o'clock. Another light goes on in the basement. Another light goes on upstairs. It looks like there's somebody home. Even during the day, lights go on, lights go off. That way, if any criminal is in your neighborhood looking to see what's a good house to break into, they're not going to see your house, because there's not going to be any mail, any newspapers. There's going to be lights going on and off. Okay, there's not going to be any shrubbery blocking the windows. That's a good house. Okay, it's a bad house for a criminal, but it's a good house for the owner. So those are some of the things that I want to instill in people as far as protecting your home. Always be observant. I always say it's good to be a little nosy. A few years ago, my partner and I, my colleague, we do the community policing together. We came up with a program called the Nosy Neighbor Program, and we were encouraging people to be nosy. Now, I know in this crowd, I'm sure people may have remembered a TV show back in, I think, the 1960s called Bewitched. And Bewitched was about a witch, a modern day witch that was living with her family, her husband and child, and they had a next door neighbor who was very, very, very nosy. Her name was Mrs. Kravitz, and Gladys Kravitz was her name. And she was a very, very nosy neighbor. Now, people generally don't like that kind of thing, but I tell you, if she was my neighbor, I would be very happy, because she didn't miss a thing. If I was at work, somebody came to my house, a car drove into my driveway, she would know exactly what was going on. And she would probably call me and say, listen, there's a car in your driveway. There's not supposed to be a car in my driveway. Okay, we'll call the police. Things like that. The best neighborhoods that I find in my division are the neighborhoods where people are observant. They're a little nosy. They watch. They look to see what's normal in their neighborhood. And then when something abnormal happens, they can recognize it right away. So learn to recognize what's different. And that's something that will help to keep the place safe. Because if you see a stranger coming into your neighborhood, strangers are allowed to come into our neighborhood. But what are they doing when they're here? Are they visiting somebody? Are they hanging around? Are they checking out cars? Are they checking out different houses? Are they going into backyards? Those are the things that are not allowed. If you come into my neighborhood, you may walk on the street. You may go and knock on the door and speak to somebody, but you're not allowed to go in someone's backyard unless that's your job. So we have to be always observant. And if there's something happening, call the police. People are very reluctant to call the police I find in Toronto. They're not comfortable calling the police. It's very important that you pass information on, because if you don't pass it on to us, we're not going to know. Okay? We don't have a crystal ball. What we rely on is your eyes and your ears. Like, I don't know if you ever heard the statement, but the community are the eyes and the ears of the police. You really are. The things that you see, the things that you hear, the things that you know, you pass on to us, and then we can act on it. If you keep that information to yourself, we're not going to know about it, and we're not going to be able to act on it. So those are important things when it comes to being out in the community. When you're walking, make sure you're walking in a very upright and very positive way. Many times you see people hunched over and they're walking, their heads are down. That's not a very positive impression to give someone who might be looking to victimize you. Criminals are always looking for someone that's vulnerable. They've gone into the jails and the prisons, and they've done interviews with prisoners to find out, how do they pick a victim? What do they look for? And the criminal always says that they're looking for somebody who's vulnerable. They said those victims, those people, they let them know that they're available to be victimized. And one of the best ways to let a criminal know you're a victim is by walking down the street doing this on one of these things. Absolutely. Right? Once you have your head into a phone and you're in the community, what you're telling any criminal that's out there looking for a victim is that you are available to be victimized, because you're not paying attention. Because if I was victimized, I wouldn't be able to tell who did it, because they'd be gone before I got my face out of the phone. So sometimes I wonder if it was the criminal that invented this phone so people could be distracted, because it's distraction. That's what the criminals hope for. Because when you're distracted, you can't make any observations. And it's the observations that the police need in order to catch a bad guy, catch someone who did it, catch the suspect who victimized you. If you can't tell us what he looked like, or what she looked like, what they were wearing, what their physical description is, where they went, what they were driving, if you can't give us any of that information, how are we going to be able to investigate that? So it's very important that we always keep our observation skills high. And this is something that lowers our skills, the phone. Actually, one of the best, one of the greatest inventions since the wheel, but it has to be done and used at the proper time. When you're driving, obviously not a good idea, right? When you're walking, not a good idea. It's good to have. Again, when you're walking, I always suggest don't take any shortcuts. Take the long route. I know it puts a little bit of time on your trip, but in a shortcut, in an alleyway, in a pathway, in any kind of a walk-through, pass-through, there's usually some vulnerability there because nobody can see you in there. The only person that can see you in there is the person that's there waiting for you to victimize you. When you're walking on a regular street, on the sidewalk, there is somebody driving by every couple seconds, especially on a busy street with one of these. Likely, if you get yourself in trouble, they may not stop for you. The witness will not stop. Generally, people don't want to get themselves involved, but they will call the police and say that there's a problem. When you're in an alleyway or a walkthrough, nobody can see you. So if you get in trouble, no one can call you, and that's the problem. So I always say, take the longer route, leave a little earlier. It's much better as far as to get help. I always say carry a whistle around. The whistle is a good thing it's just an alert system. It's better than yelling. Sometimes if we get nervous and scared and we try to yell for help, we can't. Our vocal cords seize up. If you have a whistle, you can blow it loud. Number one, it will kind of really freak out the suspect. He or she will run because they don't want to be seen. And what happens is when you blow a whistle, people will look and they may witness something where they can report. So some of those things. When you're in the bank, always try to be careful when you're at the teller, especially if you're getting money. Sometimes if you're getting a large amount of money, if you want to pay some large bills, I always try to let the teller know, please do not count the money loudly, right? Just keep it quiet, because people, if they're standing in line, they can see how much money you're getting. Bills identify themselves. What's a red bill? What's a brown bill, right? What's a green bill? So when you see those colors, you know what the denomination of that money is. If you're getting 10 brown bills, right, that's a lot of money. And especially if someone is standing in the line watching, because when I go to the bank, I do a little bit of research for my presentations. I watch to see what happens, and some of those tellers, like, they're just not even thinking. Oh, 100, 200, 300, 400. Not good. So, excuse me. So one of those things is very important. Where once you get your money, the last thing you want to do is get on one of these things. You want to make sure that you look around and see who's in the bank. So when you leave, because sometimes people get followed from the bank, and if you're not paying attention, you may not notice that guy was in the bank. Right? It doesn't mean anything. It means that that's something that you noticed, and you be careful when you're walking, because now someone knows how much money you have. Before, they didn't know how much money. Now that you left that bank, they know exactly that you got so much money from the teller. So again, be observant. Try to be observant and monitor who's around you, things like that. Know your surroundings. That's one of the most important things that I'll ever have to say when it comes to crime prevention and safety. Know your surroundings. Do not be distracted. Be observant. So those are some of the things that I wanted to pass on to you. Again, seniors sometimes can be a little bit more vulnerable because, again, I'm counting myself in here. We're a little slower sometimes. Our ears aren't that good anymore. Our eyes sometimes. So sometimes it's very hard for us to observe things and then maybe to get information. So we have to always be a little bit more savvy, a little bit more careful when it comes to trying to protect ourselves. So those are kind of some of the things I want to talk about. The last thing I want to talk about is there's a program called Crime Stoppers. And I know it's that people have heard about the program, but they sometimes think it's a police program. It's not. It's not a police program. It is a community program, and it's a community tip program where people could call this number. And it's a Crime Stoppers number, 222-TIPS, right? Which is a great number, 416-222-8477. And that's a number that they can call and give anonymous information about a crime that they think is happening or they think has happened. And that information will be passed on to the police. Sometimes it takes a little while for that information to get there. And then once the police get that, then they will investigate it, and eventually something will be done about that tip. So those things are very helpful to the police, those tips, because every criminal knows people. They have people that sometimes they've alienated somehow. People that don't like them, they've hurt or whatever, and people sometimes are very happy to call the police, but they don't want to call the regular police number because then they're going to be a witness, and then the person will find out. Crime Stoppers, you will never be a witness. You will never have to go to court. Your information is anonymous. The police can't even call you back to check out the information. So it's a very good thing. So if anybody has any information to pass on, you could do it through Crime Stoppers. Many of our crimes, many of our occurrences get solved through Crime Stoppers because it's a really great system. It was started 1976. It's been going for all that time. They've paid out $100 million in rewards. They've seized $12 billion worth of property, $2 billion worth of drugs. They've solved over a million crimes. Every 14 minutes, Crime Stoppers somewhere in the world solves a major crime. So it's a program that works. It's really well, and I really believe in it. At one point in Toronto, well, Crime Stoppers started by giving out a $1,000 reward. Now I think it's up to 2,000. But Toronto last year they stopped the rewards, and now that money, the reward money, goes back into the program. And most of the times, people don't do Crime Stoppers for the rewards anyway. They want to do the right thing. The reward is just a little bit of an incentive. So other communities are still giving the rewards. So if you're looking for a reward system, then you might be able to just check out other Crime Stopper programs and to find out if they are giving out rewards. So, and I think that's probably something that that everybody at one point in their life could probably be connected with the Crime Stopper situation. So just to go over a few things, like if you want to report a suspicious occurrence or something suspicious in your neighborhood, if you're looking at just reporting something that is not an emergency situation, something that has happened, report a crime that happened previously and yesterday or things like that, the number to call is 416-808-2222. That is our radio room. The call is taken by a call taker, and that information is passed on, and it will be dealt with that way. When there is an emergent situation, definitely 911. You shouldn't even think about it. If you think you need the police right away and it's emergency, there's been a bad car accident, there's been a crime, someone's been seriously hurt, things like that, 911. Don't be afraid to call 911. If there's a language issue, 911 has translators that you will be connected to if you could just let them know what your language is. So if you call 911 and just say Italian, then they will connect you with an Italian-speaking operator, and then you can speak about the reason why you call 911 in a language that you are able to be comfortable with. Because I know with newcomers, trying to especially when you're upset and you're very, very, very anxious and stressed out, trying to navigate a new language to somebody who's asking you all these questions is very difficult. So that's the situation that we find. So it's very important that you do report things. It's important to report because that's how we get information. That's how we get find out what's happening where, things like that. Okay. So I think we'll close that off for now. And I said, if there's any questions, then please feel free to ask. I'm leaving lots of time for it. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Constable Gomez, for the very important advices. So right now, we're going to go to the chat questions first. So there's a question from Alice and Helen, and they're just wondering if the community program Neighborhood Watch, does that still exist or is in operation nowadays?
Yeah, Neighborhood Watch was a really quite a good program, but it's from the 1980s, and we found that in the 1980s we had a very different community. Our community was different. It was more established. People knew each other. There weren't a lot of new people in the neighborhood. There weren't a lot of people that were from other countries that didn't speak the language, things like that. So now we have a lot of people that don't know each other, that don't trust each other very, very as well. And Neighborhood Watch was based on trust because everybody had to give information, and they had to get together and they had to talk about things. The police would always get together with the groups and do training about what to look for, things to expect, things like that. So Neighborhood Watch as a program it still does exist in some places, but what we're doing now, a lot of people are using the social media apps like WhatsApp and things like that to form a group. They find it's a lot more comfortable for them because they don't have to give out their personal information. They can just give out an email, right? So no one knows their address, things like that. So, it depends on how comfortable people feel about information sharing. So the actual Neighborhood Watch program does not exist in Toronto officially, but it still does exist when people just want to have it on. So if anybody out there wants to start a program, I mean, I call them like a community safety program or community watch, things like that. Absolutely, you can give me a call and I'll be happy to help navigate you through the program. I'm happy to train the people, things like that. Now, because we're into very much of a virtual world right now, it will probably all done on virtual. But the concept is still alive. Safety, watching out for your community, very much important. but the neighborhood watch program per se is still kind of not very present. So.
Okay. The next question is from Estella, and she has some question about home security.
Yes.
What is your opinion on main entrances where there are two glass panels on the side of the door?
Yeah.
Is those easy to break into or kind of reach into and open?
Right. Yes, absolutely. I mean, like I find, glass does compromise the integrity of the door or of the structure. So whenever you put glass in a doorway, it means that it's missing a lot of wood that would make it stronger. So unless you have, very, very, very strong glass, and it's quite expensive, what you can do is you can put a laminate on the glass. It's a film that's almost bulletproof. It's very strong, very expensive. It's about, I think for a square inch, it's maybe, I'm not sure, it's quite expensive. I mean, you have to look for it, but it's something that would strengthen the glass. So unless you have that, then I think it would compromise the security having the glass there, because they could easily cut the glass and reach in and unlock the door. So having glass, if it's already there, then you can certainly buy a laminate. Go to a home improvement store or a place that sells security products and ask them for a security window laminate. I know 3M makes them. 3M was the one that invented it, the 3M company, the guys that invented the Scotch tape. So basically, it's just thin layers of material that will prevent the glass from breaking. You can't even some of them you can't even shoot a bullet through the glass. It's so the laminate is so strong. Again, if you want information, give me a call. I'll be happy to talk to you about that. You got my number in there somewhere?
I don't think so. Maybe, do you want to say it out loud right now? Or?
No, I don't.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, so my phone number is 416-808-4220. That's my direct line. That's my direct number. You can leave messages for me. If you have anything you want to chat about, absolutely give me a call. I'm always available to talk to anybody who wants to ask any information. So that's my number. So yeah. So if you want to find out some more information about that, you can call.
Hello? Okay, I think you just cut out just a little bit. Are you able to hear me right now? Hello? Okay, so are you able to hear me, Constable Gomez?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I think you just cut out just slightly right now.
I did, okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's
okay,
fine now.
Good.
Okay,
yeah.
The next question is, if someone is knocking on a door, asking if someone is in, what is the safest way to answer? Is it to answer yes or to pretend nobody is home?
Right. Yeah. That's a really good point. So what happens is when someone is looking to break into a house, the first thing they need to know is there anybody home? Because they don't want to break into a home that's occupied. Like I said earlier, like the criminal is looking for an empty house to break into. And the reason why is because, first of all, there's nobody that will confront them. So they can walk into the house, steal the stuff, and leave. So if someone's knocking on the door, likely, there's a couple of reasons. They could be doing it because that's their job. Maybe they're trying to sell you something, or they're doing it as a visit for a company, things like that. Another reason is because they want to know if there's anybody home. So the idea is you always want to let them know that there's somebody home. You never, ever not answer the door and just be quiet and hoping that they'll go away. Because if they're selling a subscription, or if they're trying to ask for money or donation or whatever, they will go away because they're looking to find somebody. But if they're looking to break into that house, they're going to keep on knocking until they're convinced that nobody's there, and then they'll break in. So the idea is let them know you're home. So sometimes I say, if you want to be, want to kind of let them know that you're a strong person. So if you're going to answer the door, do not open the door. I say talk through the door, and you want to say something like, "Who is it?" in a really tough, grainy, strong voice. It doesn't matter. You could be a tiny little person, very slight person. But if you want to sound like you're a strong, forceful person, the other thing you could do is let them know that you're home by flicking the porch light on and off. So somebody's standing at your door, about to knock, and they see the porch light going off. they know someone's home, but they don't know who's home. If you want to rustle the curtains, things like that. So you can let them know that you're home without actually showing yourself or opening the door. Or you could just say, who is it? Maybe they might say, I'm collecting for, whatever, the newspaper. Okay, I'm busy right now. Sometimes they will ask you a stupid question like, do you know what time it is? What do you think? Is that strange for someone to knock on your door and ask you what time it is? The reason why they're asking what time it is because they didn't expect someone to be answering the door. They want to know if that house was empty to break into. So now you've answered the door, and sometimes people will open the door or say, talk to the door and ask them, what do you want? They'll say, hi, I'm just here to, I'm looking for Steve. Well, meanwhile, you've lived there for 30 years. In this day and age, nobody gets the wrong address anymore. Everybody Googles. Everybody does MapQuest. Everybody does the internet. Nobody gets the wrong address. If you think about yourselves out there, when was the last time you got the wrong address? Nobody gets the wrong address anymore. So if somebody's claiming they're looking for somebody else, it means that they were looking for an empty house to break into. So that's when you would call the police and say, someone tried to knock on my door and asking for somebody else, or asking for where's the nearest Tim Hortons, what time it is. Those kind of things indicate that the person was definitely looking to break in. So I hope that answers your question. Basically, let the people know you're home, but you don't open the door. I say don't open the door to strangers, right?
Thank you. So there's two questions about home security video cameras.
Yeah.
Victoria is wondering, do you have any recommendations for anything in the market?
Yeah.
And then Toman also wants to know if Toronto police subsidize some cameras because he says that some U.S. cities offer this subsidy.
Right. Okay. So basically, I'm not really allowed to make any suggestions, things like that. But what I always want to say is that when it comes to like alarm systems and things like that, they're better than not having one. Like so when it comes to video, like to me, video is king. I mean, a video will tell us so much information, right? So I always suggest a video is good. Now video is very inexpensive. You can go to some of these home improvement places like a Costco or Home Depot, things like that. Get a 4-camera system for like $200. It hooks up to your computer, hooks up to your phone. So you could be at work, sitting at work, and all of a sudden, ping, and then you can actually see someone at your front door, right? So as far as video systems, I think they're great. You have to do your due diligence. You have to, ask the right questions. First of all, is this vision good at night? Right. So if the camera is a good camera, will it film at night, or is it infrared? So you want to know that. You want to know how easy is it to use, because many people, I mean, I'm not a computer savvy person. So if I want a camera, I want to make sure it's easy, it's user friendly. I don't want to have to go and try to find a 12-year-old child to help me with my computer, which most of them all know about, right? So I want to be able to use that video well. So what kind of capture? How long will you be able to keep the footage for? Things like that. So ask the right questions, and definitely if it's a video system you want, there's one called it's a doorbell system. It's a doorbell system. It's called the Ring. And I've seen that many times, and it works really well because it actually films people the minute they start walking towards your front door. And it will alert you on your phone, and you will be able to see the person at your front door. So you could be in Florida on a beach, enjoying the sun, and bing, someone rings your doorbell. And then you could see the person, and you could go, hello, can I help you? And it will say, hi, I'm looking for Steve. And you go, sorry, Steve's not here. And they go, okay, I'm here to deliver a package. Okay, well, I'm not available right now, so maybe you could leave the package with my next door neighbor, right? All from Florida. The person thinks that you're home. If you want, you could send that information somewhere. If you want, if there's someone that you're talking to, or if you think the person might be looking to break in, you could even see them trying to break in. Then you could call 911 and things like that. So video works, right? But as far as subsidies, not at this time. I'm not sure. Sometimes insurance companies will give you a break on your insurance because you have a video security system, things like that. So, but I mean, it's getting to the point where it's quite inexpensive now. Years ago, only rich people had video. Now everybody. I mean, we all have one of these, and this is a video system right here, right? I mean, some people have actually, you know, set up their phones and to film stuff when they've gone out for an hour, had the phone filming them. Video is everywhere, right? So it's all around us. It's a really good system. So I firmly believe in it.
Brian just wants you to, can you repeat the number for reporting crimes?
Oh, okay, yeah. So if you want, so this is for the non-emergency report. So it means that you want to report that maybe there's a suspicious person in your neighborhood. There was a guy sitting in his car for 2 hours, and you've never seen him before. You're not sure what's going on. You'd like the officers to come by and maybe just talk to this gentleman. Because I always suggest that, I don't suggest that people go and approach people, right? Some people will, they do, because that's their personality, but I would never suggest you do that. I'd say have the police come and talk to the person. Or maybe if you want to go as a group, 2 or 3 of you, hi, we noticed that you're sitting in your car, can we help you? I always say kill them with kindness. Those kind of things, you want to report, your bike was stolen last week or yesterday, there's no emergency. So the number is 416-808-2222. That's the Toronto Police non-emergency number, right? Okay, so the 911 number we all know is 911, and that's for if it's an emergency, if it's something that you want the police, ambulance, or fire right away, right? Don't feel like, you know, should I? If you think you have to maybe think about calling 911, it's probably too late. You should call, right? If you ever call the police and it's, you know, the police get there and it's not actually what you think it is, it's okay. That's what you thought it was. I mean, we just don't want people making false calls, right? If you think something's happening and you call 911, everybody gets there and it's something else that but you thought it was something, that's okay. That's fine. No one's going to get in trouble, right? Okay, so then and then the other number that's kind of can be a little confusing is the Crime Stoppers number, which is 416-222-8477. 222, it's TIPS, TIPS, 8477. So that's, again, for reporting crime, but it's nothing to do with the police. So you're not going to get to the police with that. That's just information that will get to the police eventually, but it may take a month sometimes to get investigated, right?
Okay. Cassie has a question for the pros and cons of wide and wireless security camera system. I guess maybe she's concerned about whether that is common for those to be hacked or.
I don't know. I don't know about that. That's something that you'd have to talk to a tech expert on that. I mean, I haven't heard of them being hacked. I don't know what the situation is with that. All I know is, you know, I've always heard positive things about those kind of systems. So, you know, I'm not sure. But I think, you know, hacking it's here. So, I mean, if there's some kind of way you can get some protection on it, I guess and that maybe through your computer, right? Computer virus protection, probably.
And then just a few more questions about it for the phone numbers. Are those Toronto wide or is it just specific
Toronto?
to?
Yeah, so that's just for Toronto. 911 obviously is everywhere in Canada, right? But the Toronto Police that's the 808-2222. Now, if you live in Markham, if you live in Durham or Peel, number will be different. Did I cut out?
Yeah, I think you cut out.
Okay. What I was saying is if you live in Toronto, that's 416-808-2222. That's the non-emergency number for Toronto. And that's, when I say Toronto, I mean, not the GTA, I say Toronto, which is Scarborough, you know, Etobicoke, all the boroughs, which is all fully Toronto, North York, things like that. Outside of Toronto, in Markham or in Durham, in Oshawa, things like that, Peel, they have their own local numbers, but the emergency number is the same, 911. So that's for Toronto.
Where would we be able to find these numbers for the Markham area, Richmond Hill area?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the best thing is online now. I mean, okay. I could probably get them. I have a book with some of those numbers in them. If you want, I can do that. But I mean, it's probably easier just to go online
Yeah.
if people are online and just, just Google is the thing, right? Just Google, Durham Regional Police or things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then see. There's a question from J2 Pink. Do you have any recommendation for homeowners? Is it recommended to have regular invitation of fire station and council home visits to keep monthly regular safety?
Okay, let me hear that again? I didn't quite catch all of it.
So the question is, do you recommend homeowners to have regular invitation of fire stations and council home visits to keep monthly regular safety? Actually, maybe J2 Pink, if you're here, you can actually unmute yourself and maybe you can repeat your question through voice, and maybe that will be a little more clear. So I'm going to find.
Can I make an interpretation? I'm wondering if he means if it's for homeowners to have meetings with the city councilor and did you say fire station?
Yeah, fire station and councilors home visits.
Yeah.
I was a homeowner in Richmond Hill before, and my home got breaks in. There was nothing
right.
the police or fire station people can do. So other than just being scared of how the windows are broken, doors are open, drawers are opened, and I call police come over to take care of it. But overall, privacy all got stolen. So the only way that when I call police 911 or the numbers, those only means that please go out and then kick me out of my home. So from privacy going out to public. So right now, I think in Care First, there are many homeowners in Toronto or Richmond Hill. So I'm just asking for them, because other than you just continue set up home security camera, would it be suggestion to invite counselor to your home, to the homeowner's home, so make sure like they know it, like everything is good and safe, and talk to the neighbors, because even I work with the neighbors, there's nothing goes well, it even goes worse. That's what I can tell you from my experience. So right now when they are having you together, so I'm just trying to ask whether it's good to invite fire station just to come over your home to check in everything goes okay with the alarm, because there was unknown thing happen. My the basement, it was suddenly alarm. It suddenly rings itself. So there was nothing goes wrong. So the matter is I never know when the equipment goes wrong. So other than you have regular checkup with everything from your kitchen or basement or the furnace or everything regularly, air conditioning, like normally like 1 year's annual checkup. But then monthly for people in person checkup, then it's good to talk to the counselor or talk to the fire station people and then get them to your community. That would be a better idea than you continue not trusting anyone, that always keeping this neighborhoods unsafe. They're trying to make everyone know like I can only trust on the phone or the camera. That when you send out your kids to the public school, my last word, when you send out your kids to the public school, it doesn't make sense that there is no camera right there, and then you only set up a camera at your own home, but then not in the public school. And then people trying to set their kids to private school, and it also doesn't make sense from back and forth and back and forth.
All right, okay, so I can speak to that. First of all, when it comes to home security, you can, like, all I can speak about is 42 Division. So that's where I work. And I am always available to come to your home and to do a check on your home to see what kind of things might enhance your security. We do that. That's what we do in Toronto. I can't speak for York region or wherever, but in Toronto, you could call me. We can set up an appointment. I could come to your house and I could go through your whole house and look at some of the things that would enhance your security. Talk about your doors, your windows, what things you can do. That's crime prevention. That's what I do. When it comes to the fire department, that's a whole different thing. You'd have to contact the fire department and talk to them about whether they would do the same thing. I don't know if they do that because we don't really liaise much with them. When it comes to the city councilor, that's something else that he can do. But a city councilor does not have the expertise that the police and the fire have. So the city councilor probably wouldn't be able to do much. But I know as far as the police, when it comes to security and safety, we can certainly come out and take a look and give you a bit of information as to what you can do to enhance your safety. When it comes to the schools, most schools have cameras. I mean, I don't know what school you're talking about, but any school in my division, they have more than enough cameras. Generally, they're very, very well suited with lots of security equipment and very good cameras too. So that's something that you will have to take up with the board or the school board in your region. Do you live in Markham, in York region?
I'm already away from York region for some years of the.
Okay. So if you live in 42 division, then that's something that I will do. But like now, because of COVID, things are different. But I think generally, all you have to do is contact me, and I would make an appointment and come to your home and take and do we call it a safety check to see what kind of things that would help your safety. Some of the things I talked about with the door and the glass, things like that. I would give you suggestions, right? I hope that helps.
Similar to school board, that you have your boundary, right? So from your number, you have your own Toronto district boundary.
Of course, yeah. That's all I can speak to.
Location.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Hi, Ken.
Sorry, I forgot to mute myself. So thank you. I think that's all the time we have for today. So thank you,
Okay.
Constable Gary Gomez for taking the time to speak to us. Thank you
Absolutely.
everyone for coming.